You have said that the companies need the harvesters and that the harvesters need the companies. There is no question in my mind that the harvester needs somebody to process the seaweed, because there isn't a huge market for unprocessed seaweed other than putting it on your land. But the reality is that if you hand over large-scale licenses to the companies, they could decide to import the labour or mechanically harvest with the permission of the department, and they could displace the traditional harvesters. And that fear is real and substantial, and we've seen that happen in so many industries. And the second thing, of course, would be that if some company got and one company sought a very, very large licence, they would have exclusive right to that type of seaweed. And I do accept that it is species specific, but they would have exclusive right for that type of seaweed in those particular areas. And therefore the person harvesting for them would become a price taker and could not put their product on the open market. Now what we need is a diverse industry with many processors, so that the harvester would be the licence holder and that they would have a choice of company to sell to. Therefore they would be able to negotiate their own price, and it would be market-led. Can you imagine the outrage in County Meath if we return to the days, and maybe they are returning to them, that the farmers in County Meath were licence holders of the land belonging to the factories and that they were tied to sell to one factory? If you did that, there would be an uprising. Well, in what you're talking about, possibly going the same route, and you haven't eliminated that. Because you seem to be innocent about what is the concern of the people on the ground. And therefore we will be supporting the motion as put forward here, and I'm very disappointed that the government can't accept it, because if you did accept it, it would be a token that you want to retain the status quo of the small operator doing the harvesting, effectively de facto owning it and being able to put it on the market and negotiate their price. And what we need is a lot more different processing, much higher value and competition in the marketplace for the basic product. As I said, what I believe you should do is to publish a discussion document as to the way forward, highlighting the ownership issues and traditional harvesting rights. And there is a difference between that, because in a lot of cases you have rights, and there are different types of rights on these folios, and we can't go into those today. But as well as that, you also have a situation where people without any legal right, because I do accept that all the seaweed in law belongs to the state, have been harvesting the same areas for generations. And now that the possibility of them being put out of those traditional rights, and that is quite complex. And therefore I think what we need at this stage very, very rapidly is resources put into this. We do need to get to a total new licensing regime, and I believe that this should be more akin to aquaculture. The law of 1933 actually had seaweed in it as an accidental. The real purpose from that law was that at that time people were removing sand from the foreshore, and they wanted to control that because it was doing damage. And therefore we need a modern 21st century law to deal with this issue. But before we do that, we need to look at every angle. And what I would hope is that in 10 and 20 years' time, when we come back, we will still find that the people who predominate in this industry are the local harvesters, not big multinational combines bringing in outside labour. And that the diffused idea of ownership, of access to resources, will predominate, not mega controlled by mega companies. That's the way forward because they've seen so many other things on the coastline. They've seen so many other things taken away, so many rights. And the issue is this another one that will slip from their grasp? Or are you going to be a minister who's going to say, no, we are going to protect the right of the small harvester to continue in this business? And that's the fundamental question to answer. I believe you should put a discussion paper out there and then ask all of the different interests to put in their submission, but with one thing in mind. This is a hugely important resource on the coastal communities, and they certainly do not want to lose their effective grip on the fact that the harvesting is done by local people maintaining a living standard in areas without a huge amount of natural resources.
Thank you, Deputy Cuiv. Deputy Margaret Murphy.